How did you first come to hear about ESAB and the social groups?
There was a small article in the local paper, and I thought, well, that sounds interesting, not too onerous, just once a month. So I applied, and half a dozen other people did too at the same time, which was very lucky. So you had to just go through a small formality to start with, and do the police check naturally. And then you're in, within about sort of a month or something. And I enjoy it very much. I admire them blind people so much. I think they're so brave to cross over a road or to go shopping on their own. I just find their courage is just amazing. So I'm really, really pleased to be part of ESAB.
What drew you, when you saw the advert, what drew you to get involved?
Well, I have time on my hands now, luckily. Now I'm retired. So it was, as I say, I did think it was possibly I would help the deaf, because my mother was completely deaf. She started going deaf when she was 17 and was completely deaf. So it was something I was very interested in, because so many people get taken as an idiot as opposed to just not having heard correctly. People would snigger if they said, "Good morning, can I help you?" And she'd say, "Yes, it is a lovely day, isn't it?" Or something like that. So I always felt at some point in time I would perhaps learn sign language or whatnot. But then, having thought about it and seen the little write-up for ESAB, I thought perhaps something different would be a good idea. So I was accepted, and luckily I continue to be, hopefully, helpful to one or two people once a month, and more if they would like me to.
Yeah. So what sort of thing do you do for the group?
Well, this is going to sound very snooty, but the first tea party that I went to at Christmas, I think it must have been about sort of September, October, when I joined. And so we had a tea party for their Christmas thing. And it's going to sound really snooty, but the cakes were absolutely disgusting. They were just like lumps of lard, pretty colours and everything, but they tasted revolting. And I am very interested in cooking, and I have had my own tea room. So I'm not qualified or trained in any way, believe me. I'm just an enthusiastic amateur. And I said to Christine, would she allow me to do the next Christmas tea? And I think she thought quite long and hard and decided, yes, that would be okay. And so I've been doing the Christmas tea and the summer tea for them as well. So I cater for sort of up to 40 or 50 people, depending on how many have signed up to go to it. So that's another thing I do, besides just sort of driving, really. Usually 3 ladies. Don't seem to have so very many gentlemen at our club. So that really is the extent of my help, really, with the club. If anybody wanted me to do more, I'm sure they would phone me and ask me if I could do X, Y, Z, whatever it was that came up.
Mm-hmm. And how does it feel when you're at the group? How does it feel seeing people there enjoying themselves and enjoying the work that you've put in as well?
It's very rewarding, and everybody's beginning to know my name, and I'm beginning to get to know their names too. I suppose I've been there probably 3 years now, but of course it changes, and sadly the very, very first lady I picked up sadly passed away last year, and I miss her very much, Doreen, but it's lovely just seeing the joy on their faces when, they've had some entertainer who's very good or, empathises with them. I think you just need to have lots of patience and a sense of humour and smile a lot, although they can't see you smile, they can hear it, I think. And that comes easily to me, luckily. I'm an optimistic sort of bit batty person. I don't think they mind too much. And I've got to know the 3 ladies, 3 or 4, half a dozen different ones that I drive every month. So they're all very, very sweet, and I don't know how they cope living on their own, but they seem to. I'm full of admiration for them.
Yeah. And what have you learnt about what it means to lose your sight, or about helping with the group?
How not to take it ever for a day, take your sight for granted. There's so many other things I know which possibly physically could be worse, but the frustration, the everyday frustration that they must go through to actually find what they're looking for, a purse or a pen in a drawer or a book and a title, you know, things that we just take for granted.
Yeah. Why is it that you feel the social groups are so important?
Well, it just gets them out in a safe environment. They're picked up, they're taken somewhere to where they know they're going to be safe and they're familiar with the hall. We usually go to the same hall. Every other thing, Anne and Alec organise a meal or something a little bit different, or and so they're reassured that it's familiar and they haven't got to sort of battle yet again to accommodate whatever they're going to find, you know, there. And they meet up with friends and they recognise their voices and whatnot, you know. Oh, where's Joan today? Or, no, I'm saving that seat for Mary, you know. It's so nice when they get together, because I don't suppose outside of those clubs or those meetings they actually meet up with their friends otherwise. I don't know, some might. I know Brenda, one of my special ladies that I pick up, she lives in a block of flats along the seafront, and she has 2 or 3 other people who all suffer with the same problem, macular degeneration, in her block, and so they can meet up and go out. But on the whole, I wonder possibly some of the others don't. And to be lonely, I think, is the worst possible scenario of anything. And lonely and blind is just absolutely ghastly.